Do you ever just wake up feeling completely and utterly exhausted by your own faith? I mean, like you're constantly performing, running on empty, checking off these never-ending spiritual to-do lists, and yet still kind of wondering if you're actually doing what God really asked of you in the first place? Well, if you're not in your head right now, you are in the exact right place. Hello, everyone. Welcome to Everyday Hope and Simply Grace. Choose hope, embrace grace. Let's dive right into this.
So here is the core conflict we face literally every single day. We get so incredibly busy doing all these good things, right? But are those actually the right things? Are they what we were asked to do? Think about it. Are you out there building massive, impressive block towers of busyness when the actual instruction you were given was just simply to put the toys away? Today, we are completely tearing down this exhausting myth of performative faith.
All right, let's jump right into Section 1, the Master's House Rules, Love and Boundaries.
Okay, I want to give you a hilarious but probably entirely too real analogy here. Picture this. Imagine a 2-year-old toddler, and they are covered head to toe in this spectacular, messy mixture of mud, crushed leaves, wet sand, and those tiny little rocks. And they are sprinting full speed straight for the pristine, perfectly white sheets on the master bedroom bed. Now, God's love is unconditional for sure, but his house still has rules. As a parent, you absolutely adore that muddy toddler. You love them with literally all your heart. But are you going to let them dive bomb onto the clean sheets? Absolutely not. And not because you reject your child, but because there are boundaries in the house. The master of the house sets rules out of a deep place of love and order, not out of rejection.
And honestly, this brilliantly illustrates one of the harshest sounding phrases you might have come across. When you read in ancient texts the phrase, "I never knew you," directed at some very busy, miracle-working people, it sounds terrifying, doesn't it? But the absolutely crucial point to understand here is that knowing in this historical context doesn't mean a lack of awareness. I mean, God knows everyone. It actually means a lack of approval. It's basically saying, I cannot commend this unauthorized behavior. You can't just completely ignore the house rules, do whatever you want in the master bedroom, and then expect a round of applause.
Moving right along to Section 2, Busyness versus True Obedience, or as I like to call it, stacking blocks higher.
So how does this actually play out in our everyday lives? Well, we have this really clever habit of masking our simple disobedience with extreme, downright exhausting spiritual busyness. On one hand, we get hyper-focused on doing great works. The flashy stuff. Non-stop ministry, serving on literally every committee, prophesying, maybe even going after miracles. But on the other hand, we have doing the Father's will, which is often just simple, quiet, totally unglamorous everyday obedience. We get so caught up trying to earn our value by doing the flashy stuff, thinking God only wants these grand, measurable achievements, when what is truly desired is just quiet, faithful obedience. This is the classic toddler playbook on how to avoid putting toys away. Think about it. You tell a toddler to clean up, and what do? Number 1, they change the subject completely. Hey, what's for dinner? Number 2, they just pretend they didn't hear you. Or number 3, and let's be honest, this is our absolute favorite as adults, build the blocks higher so they look incredibly busy and productive. Look, I can't possibly forgive that person right now. I'm way too busy leading this massive study group. We literally use our own grand achievements to drown out a very simple command.
And wow, here is the hard truth we just have to face. 1% disobedience is still 100% disobedience. Ouch, that stings a little bit, right? I mean, if you are out there doing 99% of what you want to do, but you are intentionally ignoring the 1% you were actually asked to do, well, that's just not obedience. Partial obedience, or swapping out a simple command for our own flashy alternative, is still, at the end of the day, disobedience.
Let's shift gears to Section 3, Unlocking Kingdom Blessings, and our capacity for the extraordinary.
Now, changing our perspective for a second here, you might be sitting there thinking, man, this sounds super strict. But obedience isn't about some dictator making arbitrary rules. It's about preparation. Think about this in the real world for a second. Would you ever hand a driver's license over to a chronic traffic violator who just point blank refuses to follow speed limits? No way. Would you give a $200,000 monthly allowance to a 10-year-old child? Absolutely not. They literally don't have the capacity to manage it safely. Would you hand a $30 million Stradivarius violin to someone who hates practicing? Of course not. Withholding these massive blessings isn't cruel. It's actually a profound act of protection.
Because it really just comes down to this. Simple obedience expands your capacity to handle kingdom blessings safely. If we can't be trusted with the simple obedience, things like keeping healthy boundaries, honoring our commitments, or just forgiving someone who offended us, we simply aren't ready for greater spiritual authority. Every single time you obey in those quiet, totally unseen moments, your capacity to hold the extraordinary grows. Which brings us to Section 4, the unsung hero, Joseph, and the power of ordinary steps. If we want a real masterclass in this, we aren't looking at someone parting a sea or calling down fire from the sky. We look at Joseph, the earthly father of Jesus. He is the ultimate case study of a guy who traded flashy miracles for quiet, absolute obedience. Just look at the unglamorous steps he took. Step 1, marry his pregnant fiancée, taking on immense public shame and misunderstanding. Step 2, flee to Egypt in the middle of the night, leaving his business and his home totally behind. Step 3, return to Israel the very moment he was instructed. Step 4, settle down quietly in Nazareth. These steps are deeply difficult and, frankly, kind of embarrassing from a societal standpoint. Yet, what did Joseph do? He acted immediately, every single time he was asked.
And this really captures the whole emotional core of our explainer today. On one side, we've got the flashy prophets, parting seas, calling down fire, building massive temples. But on the other, we have Joseph the carpenter. 0 miracles, 0 sermons recorded, just 100% simple obedience. Joseph never healed the sick or preached to thousands, but his simple, step-by-step obedience was absolutely integral to saving the entire world. That is the raw, unmatched power of true obedience.
All right, let's bring it all home with Section 5, Your Life Plus Moment. Let's take some action today. It is time to take this deep concept and make it highly, highly practical. What do we do with this right now, today, in our own lives? Well, here is your framework. Step 1, pause your exhausting busyness. Just stop stacking the blocks for a minute. Take a deep breath. Step 2, listen for the simple command you have been actively ignoring. Is there a relationship you need to mend, a bad habit you need to break, an apology you really need to make? And Step 3, just do the next right thing. We've got to stop performing and start listening.
And hey, if that feels overwhelming, let this truth bring you a little bit of peace. The Holy Spirit empowers the next step only after you take the first step. You do not need the strength to figure out the next 10 years of your life today. You don't need to know exactly how it's all going to perfectly work out. You just need to take that very first, sometimes kind of scary, step of obedience. When you do, the grace and the strength for the rest of the journey will be provided.
So, I leave you with this final thought. Are you ready to stop building those tall, impressive, exhausting blocks and simply put the toys away? I really encourage you today to choose genuine, quiet obedience over performative exhaustion. The kingdom isn't waiting for your burnout, it's waiting for your simple yes. Everyday Hope and Simply Grace. See you next time.